Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over the 2014 Deathstroke series, where we actually do pick up with Deathstroke killing a god. Yes, you heard that right. And so getting into today's storyline, we actually do pick up weeks after the ending of the first story arc, where this is just Deathstroke just trying to relax after going through so much in our last video. But out of nowhere, he's then attacked by the new 52 Teen Titans. So Red Robin, Wonder Girl, Bonker, I want to say Beast Boy as well. And so this is him just facing off against them. Now, at first, you're probably wondering, why in the world is the Teen Titans coming after Deathstroke 4? Because in the entire run of the new 52 Teen Titans, they never met Deathstroke at all. And the question is now, why now? Well, we come to find out this was actually fake. It was a training session being done by, of course, his new friend, and that would be Victor Ruse. Now remember, Victor Ruse is the leader of a new group given to us known as the Dead Bastards. And when it comes to the Dead Bastards, they're just basically a mercenary group, but they're all dead to the world. So nobody knows they're alive and they're able to accomplish mission. And most recently, Deathstroke had joined the Dead Bastards and going to take different contracts while working for them. And so after that training session, that is when you basically have Victor tell Deathstroke something big is coming towards our island. And that is very huge because when it comes to the Dead Bastards, they're dead to the entire world. And nobody should know where their base is at or where their island is at. But apparently someone knows where their island is at. And matter of fact, they're heading this way. And so you have Deathstroke leave the base to walk around the island to see what in the world is coming their way. Now, as soon as he begins to walk around, well, he begins to hear a voice. And his voice tells him, hey, I want to hire you. I want you to kill someone for me. If you are able to kill this person off for me, you'll be paid very well. But again, I need you to help me out. Now, with that being said, for Deathstroke, he's more of, I'm okay with killing someone, but I have to know who you are and who my target is. And as soon as he says that, you have Hephaestus appear. And when it comes to Hephaestus, he's well known when it comes to Olympus. He's well known for creating a bunch of different kind of powerful weapons. And here he is right now saying, I have made a new weapon, and this is God Killer Weapons. I want you, Deathstroke, to kill a god. And so when we jump into the next chapter, we actually do pick up with Deathstroke trying to control his new weapon, the God Killer Sword. The problem is though, when it comes to the sword, it has a mind of its own. And with that being said, it's full of emotions, rage, hatred, and the list goes on and on and on. And so for Deathstroke, if he wants to be able to control the sword, he's going to have to control the sword's emotions, but also his own emotions as well, and build some kind of bond with the sword. Now at the same time, you have Victor Ruse and Hephaestus giving Deathstroke an actual training session by releasing a bunch of creatures. Now, we're not specifically told that if these creatures came from some other realm that's connected to Olympus, or it's one of those training sessions where it's just a bunch of holograms attacking Deathstroke like earlier when it came to the Teen Titans. Either way, you have Deathstroke showing that he's now able to control the sword, which means that he's now a more powerful threat. But the question is now, what god does he need to kill off for Hephaestus? But before Deathstroke is able to actually accept the contract, you didn't have Deathstroke leave. And the reason why, because he's going to one of his many safe houses, because he's looking for his children. Because we have to remember, when it comes to Rose and Jericho, they do not like their father at all. There is bad blood between them. But on top of that though, thanks to Volume 1 and thanks to Deathstroke's father, their grandfather, a whole lot more mess came into the family. And so Rose and Jericho just want to be left alone. They're on the run. But occasionally they will use different bases that are owned by Deathstroke, like this one right here. And so luckily for him, when he does go here, he's able to find Rose. Now his main goal is to try to rebuild the bond with Rose to hopefully have a new connection with her. Except when it comes to Rose, she's all like, no, I want nothing with you at all, Father. Just leave me alone. And the same for Jericho. Now, Deathstroke wants to give Rose a letter to then give over to Jericho. And she does promise him that she'll be able to give the letter over to Jericho. Except right after Deathstroke leaves, she burns the letter. Because like I said, Rose hates her father. So does Jericho. And she's trying her best to protect her brother from their father. But then you have Deathstroke go right back over to Hephaestus. And this is where you have Hephaestus tell Deathstroke who he needs to kill. What god does he need to kill? And that god is, and I am going to butcher the name so badly, but it is Iopathus. Yeah, I hope I said the name correctly, but when it comes to Iopathus, he's better known as the Piercer. And matter of fact, we're going to call him that for the rest of the video. Now, when it comes to the Piercer, he was a powerful god along with the other gods from Olympus, except he was exiled and locked away in Tartarus. Now, Tartarus is actually located on Paradise Island, better known as the Mascara. Either way, when it comes to Hephaestus, he feels like the Piercer is a god that just needs to be killed off already because he's too dangerous to be left alive. Yes, he is locked away, but sooner or later, he might break out. If he does break out, well, it could be the end for all gods across Olympus and on Earth as well. And so you have Deathstroke in the Sore Leave to hopefully kill off the Piercer god. Now, Deathstroke is able to get to Themyscira, and matter of fact, he's able to find the gates to Tartarus. Now, once he's able to break into the gate and actually take out the weird creatures that were guarding the base, he does find the statue. Now, at first, Deathstroke believes the statue is technically the Piercer god, but then you have Hephaestus say, no, that can't be it, because the way the statue looks like, it looks like Apollo, the sun god. And when it came to Apollo and the Piercer, they did have some bad blood between each other. Either way, it seems like some kind of sick joke, because why in the world would there be a statue of Apollo, the sun god, and the prison of, well, the Piercer god? Either way, Deathstroke feels like he should smash the actual statue, because he feels like there is some kind of person inside there. And if he's able to cut down the statue, he might be able to kill the person inside the actual statue. Well, he does attack it. He does cut through it. But that's the thing. The statue was the actual prison of the Piercer god. It had him locked away. And as soon as Deathstroke was able to smash the actual statue, well, the Piercer god has been released. And with that happening, it seems like it could be held on Earth very soon because how powerful he truly is. Now, once you have Deathstroke being able to get back up and realize that he just released a powerful god that could technically destroy the entire world, you then have Diana appear, Wonder Woman, and she is very pissed off for what Deathstroke did when it came to Tartarus, but also the Piercer god. And so getting into the third chapter of the storyline is really more of Deathstroke fighting against Wonder Woman. Really, it's her fighting against him, and he's just playing defense right now because he's trying to tell her, hey, listen, you got everything wrong here. Yes, I did break into your actual prison that was made for the Piercer god, but I was trying to kill him, not free him. I don't want to see him actually destroy the entire world. So can you please stop punching me? But for Diana, she is not listening at all. She's all like, no, I feel like you came here to basically release this god onto our world, onto my island, and now my sisters are gonna die first, and then the rest of the world. You have no idea what you have done. And again, she is not listening. But while you have the two characters fighting against one another, well, when it comes to the Piercer god, he's building up his army. His army is coming to life, and sooner or later, that army is going to be used to basically fight against the forces of Themyscira, and that is a huge problem. But then out of nowhere, somebody says, hey, Diana, hey, Slade, both of you guys stop right now and let's talk it out. We come to find out it is Hesia, And Hesia is a Themyscirian, but she is the war general for Themyscira. With that being said though, she knows Deathstroke from past adventures. And with those past adventures, well, they got somewhat close. Either way, she's able to calm down Deathstroke and also Wonder Woman to talk it out. And when I say talk it out, it's really more of Diana using the lasso of truth to get the entire story from Deathstroke. And once she does that, she now knows that, yeah, he was sent here to kill off the Piercer God, not to actually release the Piercer God. And that is very huge to say. Now, with that being said, right after she had learned that, well, the Piercer God is ready to go to war against Themyscira, Wonder Woman, and Deathstroke as well, because he was able to build up his army. And so now we're about to get into a war. And so when we jump into the third chapter and we pick up with Deathstroke, Diana, and an army of Themyscirians, you would think that they should be able to handle this god, the Piercer God. But unfortunately, they cannot. He's so powerful because he is a Titan. And when it comes to Titans, they're on a whole other level than regular demigods. And so he is able to just wipe the floor. But on top of that, he's able to send both Deathstroke and Diana into another realm, another dimension. And the question is right now, where did they go? Now, when it comes to this other dimension, apparently this is where the power of the Titans come from when it comes to the gods of Olympus. Now, with that being said, it's also kind of like a hellscape as well for the Titan gods of Olympus. With that being said, when it comes to Diana and also Deathstroke, as soon as they arrive in this hellscape or this, well, dimension, they are confronted by a whole bunch of different kind of creatures. And when it comes to these creatures, unfortunately, our heroes have no choice but to go ahead and fight against these creatures and pray that they are able to find some kind of portal that could help them get out of this dimension and back to Earth to hopefully defeat the Piercer God. But right now, they have no choice but to work together. And we do see the creatures coming together as one. But when they do come together, well, that is the moment we come to find out they're forming a bigger version of themselves. Heck, I'll say it. They're forming a Megazord. And once they're able to form this Megazord version of themselves, well, now Diana and Deathstroke have a bigger problem on their hands. Now, luckily for our heroes, well, that is the moment they see a, well, portal. And that portal should lead them right back to Earth. And so their goal is to take that portal to get back to Earth. Like, hey, it's a good game plan. Except that portal is not really a real portal, because as soon as our heroes try to go through it, the portal changes. It turns pitch black, but also our heroes are hit. And it kind of seems like they're knocked out, but they do fall through the portal, but they're not going back to Earth. And we kind of find out that each of our heroes were technically teleported into their own mindscape. Now, when it came to this mindscape, well, you have Diana and both Deathstroke having to fight against their own worst fears. And that is something hard for our heroes, because for Deathstroke in his mindscape right now, he's about to get into a gunfight. You know, bullets flying everywhere. But unfortunately, in this mindscape, his children are there as well, Rose and Jericho, and they are very young. But either way, he wants to do what's best, which is to protect his children. And so as the gunfight goes on, he's just trying his best to protect his family. Now, when it comes to Diana and her mindscape, well, at this point in the New 52, she was better known as the God of War. But apparently, thanks to her being the God of War, it only led the Earth into a direction of becoming an apocalyptic world. And so technically, she failed. But on top of that, her mom hates her. Even though her mom is dead, the ghost of her mom is just yelling at her, saying, look at what you did. And also the man she loves at this point in the New 52, which is Superman. He also hates her because the entire world has completely fell apart thanks to her. And so each character has to try their best to fight against their worst fears. And once they're able to fight against these worst fears, they are able to come back together and to hopefully escape the mindscape and get back to Earth. And really, they got very lucky because as soon as they were able to escape the mindscapes, well, they were back in the dimension that the Piercer God had placed them in. Except right after that, they found a portal that could lead them right back to Earth. And once they're able to take that portal and get back to Earth, they realize they haven't missed much yet. Basically meaning the war had just started. And so Diana and also Deathstroke can still help out to kill off this god. And so when we jump into the next chapter, it's really more just Wonder Woman and Deathstroke working together to fight against the Pincer. And while they're trying to do that, unfortunately, they're getting their butt whooped. Now, this is Deathstroke trying to use his god killer weapon, but at the same time, it's also Wonder Woman saying, hey, I got powers and I should be just strong enough to hopefully kill you. But the problem is she's not strong enough, and the god weapon, Deathstroke, does not have full control of the weapon just yet. And so unfortunately, both characters can't do jack when it comes to fighting against the Pincer. Either way, you do have our evil bad guy here just whooping their butts left and right, to the point where he is able to do some heavy damage to Diana, and now she's knocked out. And you have Deathstroke wondering if she's dead. And so while he's kind of running over there to see if she is okay, somebody else is on their way to the island to check up on their girlfriend. And that would be Superman. Superman has now arrived at the scene to help out Diana because he believes that Deathstroke is the reason why Diana's knocked out. He has no idea that technically his girlfriend Deathstroke are working together to fight against the Piercer God. Either way, you have Superman trying to fight against Deathstroke. Now, when it comes to this fight, I really feel like Deathstroke should automatically lose his fight in a matter of seconds. It is Superman who is very angry about the idea that his girlfriend just got hit and knocked out, and he believes it is Deathstroke, not realizing that it's not Deathstroke. And so while you have the two characters go back and forth, luckily for Deathstroke, you have Diana get back up and stop Superman and say, no, he's with us. We need his help to fight against a different bad guy. And that is when we see the Piercer God just pop out of the ground, getting ready to fight against both Clark, Diana, and also, well, Deathstroke as well. And so we get into the last chapter. And when we do get into the last chapter, we actually pick up with Deathstroke, Superman, and Wonder Woman trying to work together to actually defeat, well, of course, the Piercer God. And that going to lead into a long, drag-out battle because at first, you do have Superman try first, and well, he get his butt whooped. Then you have Wonder Woman, and she gets her butt whooped. And it leads into Deathstroke being the last man standing to fight against the Piercer God. Now, thankfully for Deathstroke, he does have the God Killer weapon. But honestly, what really does help him out is that we kind of find out there is a spirit inside the actual sword. And so with that spirit, he was able to unlock more energy or more power from the sword and being able to actually break the spear that the Piercer God was using, but it did also cut out his heart. And so yes, Deathstroke was able to kill off a god just like that. Now, after you have Deathstroke kill off the Piercer God, he is then confronted by Hephaestus. And when it comes to Hephaestus, he's very proud in what Deathstroke did. Unfortunately, he does tell Deathstroke, hey man, listen, because you kill a god, you have to pay in blood for your mistake. I mean, yes, you did a great thing when it came to protecting the world from the Piercer God, but again though, when you kill a god, you have to do some kind of blood sacrifice. Now at first, you have Deathstroke just disagree, but then you have Hephaestus say, well fine, how about this? If you don't do a blood sacrifice, I'll then go after your kids, Jericho or Rose. So let's try this again. Are you going to do a blood sacrifice? And when it comes to Deathstroke, he realized that he has no choice here because he wants to protect his children. And so what he does, he cuts out one of his eyes, his right eye. And that is actually very important because remember, before Volume 1, Deathstroke was an older person. Now, thanks to Volume 1, he became a younger person, but on top of that, he also regained his lost eye. And so this is him saying, here, take my eye away, because once I was able to regain his eye, it threw me off when it came to my fights against other people. And honestly, that's bad for a mercenary. You cannot be off. You always have to be on your A game. And so this is Deathstroke saying, take my eye as a way to leave my kids alone. Here's your blood sacrifice. And the book ends on that note right there. And so with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.